starting out in your full-time RV life,
or making the jump into oblivion,
and you're wondering how to even start or what you might need to do this,
well, we have a quick list of some things we've considered must-haves for us. Must-haves for you might be different, but this is our list.
so what we found out, we've only taken one trip, our shakedown trip.
And it was a shakedown.
More to come on that. But here's a list of things that we've discovered are must-haves for us.
Right. And I think our number one, at least the number one for me, is protecting the RV. And with that in mind, an RV surge protector. We went with the Watchdog. I think everybody might have their favorite or one that's been recommended to them from somebody else. I watched a lot of videos. I really like the Watchdog. Great warranty on it. There's replaceable parts inside of it, so I don't have to buy a whole new unit if it burns out, if I do get some bad RV part problem. So, and it's Bluetooth. I can monitor it. I can take a look. If we're in the middle of a thunderstorm, I can pull it up on my Bluetooth. I can see what's going on with the RV park power. I get alerts whenever we're in range of it. The only thing I wish it maybe had was a Wi-Fi connection. So if we're away from the RV, we could then see what's going on with it. But that's definitely was my number one must-have.
A must-have also for us are water-efficient shower heads. We have 2 bathrooms in this rig, so we actually have 2 different water-efficient models for our shower heads.
Right. We have the Oxygenics, which I think a lot of people use. Very great. It saves a lot of water. Very efficient. Has the switch that you can turn on and off, which almost every RV has. This RV that we have, an Integra, did not come with a on-off switch. We were very surprised by that.
They were nice shower heads, but they were not water efficient, and they didn't give you the option to shut the water off. And if you're going to be doing any kind of boondocking or watching your water levels and gray tank levels, you'll need that option to be able to shut the water on and off while in between lathering up and rinsing off. Another must-have for us, and we found it very valuable on our shakedown trip, was the tire pressure monitoring system.
Yes, we went with the Easy tire pressure monitoring system. That was another one that's really recommended. Going through YouTube videos when we were getting started in this, I really didn't think a lot of it at first, but on that shakedown trip, super important. You could see where your tire pressure was as you're going. It gives you alerts. You can set a low pressure, high pressure, so you know if you're getting too high. If you have any issue with the tire at all, the worst thing you want to do is blow a tire out when they're anywhere from $600 to $900 per tire, plus sitting on the side of the road. This way, if we see a tire's going down, we could always add air to it with a pump. Or we can get off at a stop, a truck stop, get off the road, save the tire, save the rim, get it serviced, and still continue on with our journey without being broke down the side of the freeway. Nobody wants to be broke down the side of the freeway. And
it alerts you with this very loud beep if a tire pressure is going lower in one of the tires.
Yes.
And we actually ordered the 10-piece system because we have 6 wheels on our rig, and then
and then our towed will also have 4 when we start flat towing. Our Fusion will be able to put 4 on there, and we can monitor that tire pressure as well.
Right.
So great. That'll be really great peace of mind. That's definitely a must-have for us. So another must-have is, again, protecting the coach, and that is a water pressure regulator. So my first endeavor, I went with a little bit inexpensive, which I have a tendency to do, and I end up spending more in the long run because I have to buy something else. I'm really trying to avoid that and just get the right thing the first time. So I got a water pressure monitor, which tells me if it's high or low pressure, which is great. And I guess I could play around with the park nozzle to see if I can get my water pressure dialed in. But what I should have gotten was a water pressure regulator that has the adjustment on the regulator itself that I can set at the pressure that I want to set it at, which I know is safe based on the manufacturer's recommendation for our rig. So I am in the process of getting the correct one, but that's a must-have. Again, anytime you can do something to protect the coach, to protect your home, because this is the home, when you're going full time, you want to make sure everything going into the coach is the best you can do. Power, water, whatever it is, your filters. You always want to make sure you're protecting your systems.
Another one that is a must-have for me are tension rods. Now, we found the importance of these. We have a couple, but we need to get more. So on our shakedown trip, one thing that we have really cool on our fridge is a lock that locks the fridge really well. But what happens is there was a group of us that were going, and we kept getting up while we're on the road, those of us that were passengers, and going into the fridge for things.
I tried to get up, they wouldn't let me.
He was driving. So we kept getting up and going into the fridge, and then we would forget to lock it again. And the problem was, actually, this was our first trip, and we didn't realize that our fridge temperature was up to, actually down too low, and so things were freezing. We had a giant water jug on the top shelf that froze and became a giant ice ball. And so when we hit a bump or we turned a corner, the fridge wasn't locked. The fridge flew open, the drawers flew open, and then down crashes this giant jug of ice and broke our drawer in our new fridge.
Yep.
In our new coach. So I didn't see the importance of putting little tension rods inside of your fridge when you have a lock on it on your door. But I think now that this happened, I realize we either have to never open the fridge while we're driving, or, which is probably a good rule, or have those little tension rods that keep everything in place. And we're seeing that things are in the cupboards we need to kind of keep so that they don't shift while we're driving.
Right.
We are now seeing the importance of that we didn't see before.
And even if you're not opening the fridge, even if you stop, things will shift in there. And if we can avoid something that may be laying against the door, when we go to unlock it and open it, you don't want things falling on your feet, your head, because inside of an RV, the fridges generally are pretty high. We have a residential fridge, so they're made much higher. They're off the ground, and that top shelf is over 6 feet tall. So even if you're not opening it while you're driving, you still have the risk of injury. So those tension rods are going to come in very handy, and it's a great safety factor.
Another thing that is a must-have, a very must-have, is a good sewer hose.
Yes, so we have over the years we've lived full time once before. Again, gone with a little bit less expensive hose, and we always come back to Rhino hoses. You can step on these things. I wouldn't say you could drive over them. I know people that have driven over them; they've been fine, but you can step on them. Things can fall on them. They generally bounce back. And when in cold weather camping, they hold up very well, because that nothing's worse than having a brittle, cheap plastic sewer hose, and you get pinholes in it. Then you're doing cleanup, and you can imagine the mess we make. So we generally go with Rhino. That's our preference for if you go for a brand. They just seem to have some of the toughest out there.
And we have the Rhino Blaster.
Yes, we have the Rhino Blaster to clean out the inside of the. Our coach is equipped with black tank spray outs, but we also like to use the blaster so we can clean up inside the exit tube and just really make sure everything is clean, ready to go for our next adventure.
And it's good to have that 90-degree clear elbow.
Yes, so you see what's coming out, see if you have blockages. Not that you want to see what's coming out, but you need to see what's coming out.
Well, you know how much more you have to kind of spray in
That's
there.
the dirty of it.
Yes. Another must-have, we have not used it yet, but we know that we're going to use the 30 to 50 amp adapter.
Yeah, so looking at parks, again, this was when we full-time before, traveling across country, we found a lot of parks only had up to 30 amp. So talking with other people that had 50 amp, at the time we only had 30, so we were in good shape. But we talked with many people in other campgrounds, and they all swore by having that 50 amp to 30 amp breakdown so they could still plug in. They couldn't run both air conditioners, but they could always run one or run their heat pump. That was in their AC unit, so that was definitely a must-have for us, just to have on board for that peace of mind.
Yes. Another must-have is a good 2 to 3 foot level so that you can level your camper. Yeah, there's nothing worse than having your whole camper rock when you're trying to walk across it.
And we do have an auto leveling system, which I feel is probably, it's one of our things we're going to have recalibrated when we come back for our first factory service from our shakedown trip. But that level, just putting it on the floor, good 2 to 3 foot level, the longer the better. Obviously you don't want to carry a 6 foot level around. We have about a 3 foot level, which gives us enough distance to where we can forward to back, side to side. We can generally feel pretty good about dialing in. Once the camper settles, we have a seasonal site that we spend a lot of time at right now as we're preparing, and ground is soft. So the camper will tend to sink in, and we can get a little bit out of whack. And this allows us to just give a quick level and get us back in shape.
Another must-have that we found on our shakedown trip was a good phone holder for your dashboard.
Yes, I had one that would put in the vent, and the vent's in a weird spot. So every little bump, because of the angle it was on, it would fall down. Not that I'm looking at my phone a lot, but knowing where it was important.
Well, looking at our GPS
app. So it tied in, so the phone had the turn-by-turn directions. Well, the coach itself has Apple CarPlay, so I could see the map app I use on the screen, but the turn-by-turn directions are on the phone. So having that right next to the screen, very helpful. I could see it at a glance. I didn't have to worry about it falling off. Went over some bumpy roads at times, and it was a champ. It held right in there. And we'll put a link in where that we got that from.
Unfortunately, we actually paid a little bit too much for it. We bought it at a truck stop because we didn't anticipate needing it. And then
double markup, baby.
Halfway through our trip, we realized we needed it and bought it from a truck stop. But we found it on Amazon, and we'll put the link below for that.
Pretty inexpensive and a great buy.
Another must-have, Walkie Talkies.
Yes, that's great for backing in and out of any spot. It's a great line of communication. Well, one of us is in the driver's seat. The other one is walking the perimeter of the camper as we're backing up. You could use your cell phone on the speaker, but I'll tell you what, the walkie-talkie is crisp, it's clear.
Plus, you don't know if you might be not in range, not getting a good cell service to be able to talk to each other.
That's a good point. If you don't have cell service, you're out of luck. These walkie-talkies we have, she could be 2 miles away from me. Not that would help us much if we're backing in, but she could be farther away, off to the side. We don't have to worry about that cell service. So, great
Plus,
point.
we can use it going through different parks if we're separated or whatever.
Very inexpensive.
They're pretty cheap.
And you can walk around the park with it if we're walking the dog.
If you have kids, teenagers, you can give one to them while they're on their walkabouts.
So those have been great. We've used them several times now, and just the month we've had them, I was actually surprised by how much we used them.
Another must-have that we found out on our shakedown trip is that we should have a box of assorted fuses on hand.
Oh yeah, so learn this the hard way. So we have the Euroloft bunk system that's over the driver and passenger seat. We love it. It's great. It's just great to have that extra sleeping space. Good Indiana Queen up there. Ours holds 750 pounds, so you could put 2 of me up there and maybe a small person. But what you can't do with it is, we were kind of putting a few things up there and storing them just to kind of get them up out of the way, and realize, it holds 750 pounds, but it doesn't lift much more weight than the bed and
a couple of
the gear,
something.
So what happened is the fuse blew. It was in a down position. They give you the handy dandy manual handle, but we still have not figured out how to get that in there. We popped the panel, and the angle that motor is on, there was trouble. I don't know how we would ever get it going back up. So
luckily, a fellow camper had extra fuses, and we were able to pop one in there and then get us to Walmart where we bought a box of fuses.
Got some fuses, and we also picked up one of the things I knew we would need was a voltmeter, and kind of goes hand in hand. So you want to be able to check the circuit. You want to make sure you're getting power. That voltmeter, you can get a nice inexpensive one. We've used it on where our seasonal site is, where we'll be doing full-time part of the year. We have a golf cart, and we were able to check our batteries on that. And just, voltmeter is going to be a great other must-have for us.
Yes. Another must-have, I've heard so much about the Reflectix bubble foil that keeps the sun and the cold out that you put in your windows and in your cupboards. So I actually found a cheaper version on Amazon, and I'll put the link below. And it's a double-sided, it's bubble wrap basically, but it's like foil, like a silver-sided, so it reflects the sun away from your camper to help you keep down your, the heat inside, so your air conditioner is not going off all the time. But also we anticipate that it's going to help out in the winter time, because we're going to be full-time camping mostly, unless God has other plans.
Right.
But we're
a little crazy. So we're going to winter camp in Michigan and do full-time here this winter. So it seems like where we're headed right now.
Another must-have for us was the under cabinet paper towel holder.
Yes. The more we can get off the counter, the more counter space we have. So, anybody who's spent any time in an RV knows that usually, unless you're in one of these really enormous motor coaches, counter space is always at a premium. So the more you can get off the counter, the better. So we chose the under cabinet paper towel holder.
We also got a magnetic knife bar, so we are going to install that on the wall behind our stove, and that's going to hold all of our knives, because right now in our apartment we have all of our knives in a butcher block, and we don't have, obviously we're just talking about space on our counters, so this is going to house all of our sharp knives, so they won't be in with the rest of our silverware,
right,
and things like scissors, things like that, so that's going to save up a bunch of space.
Yeah, plus it'll protect them, so they are sharp, they're made for cutting, and you want them banging into each other. Try to keep the best edge possible. So
another thing that we just found that was a great buy and is going to save space and headache for us is a collapsible dish strainer. We used to have the regular dish strainer that we would just try to store anywhere we could, and then pull it out and put it on top of a towel. But this actually folds flat, and we can put it anywhere. And it holds a lot of dishes.
It does. It holds a lot of dishes, and it surprisingly fit into a small space. So it was actually, we might have been a little bit skeptical when we bought it, but it's actually been a great buy.
Right, and it was like $16.99 at Walmart or something.
Yep, it's a pretty good deal.
We'll put a link below for that too.
Yep.
Another thing that we just kind of stumbled upon, looking on all videos and in the different Facebook groups that we're in, was Happy Campers for our sewer system.
This stuff is great. Can't say enough about it. So far it's been awesome. One scoop in and no odors.
So you fill up your sink, like in the bathroom, and you fill up your toilet, and you put a scoop in each one of them, and then you let the water down your gray tank, and you flush the toilet. And this powder is supposed to do wonders of dissolving your black tank waste and deodorizing.
Yep. So they'll say it comes out clear. We'll find out.
We'll have to let you know.
Right.
But so far, no odors, and it's turning out to be a good buy.
Yeah.
Another good must-have is a good water hose for the outside of your RV.
Yeah, so we just, it's pretty basic. We got a good Camco hose. There's different ones. We do have a Camco no kink hose, because the worst thing, once you start pushing the hose under, getting it kinked up. The no kink hose that's a good buy for us. A drinking hose, and have a separate hose for sewer treatment.
And so you never mix the two. You'll know which one is your freshwater hose. You can get a filter to put on there if your camper doesn't already have a filtration system inside your rig. And just make sure to continually switch out those hoses because they do get old. They're in the sun, and you don't want to have bacteria growing in them. So you want to take good care of them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. We actually got some Velcro strips that will hold the hoses together. So when we wrap them up, we can wrap the Velcro strips around, and you can use it on cables or cords or hoses. It keeps them nice and organized so they don't get kind of beat up when you're transporting between your stops.
Now, some of the things that we want to get that we've either seen on other YouTube channels that have worked for other full-time RVers,
Yep.
or things that we've come across and we just haven't been able to buy so far yet. GloveWorks gloves.
Yeah, they're pretty heavy duty. They're a thick mill. I've been using just your regular old nitrate gloves when I'm doing the sewer. I can't tell you, I probably go through 2 or 3 pairs of those things every single time we go out and we're dumping or whatever, just to head on to the next stop. And those gloves just tear apart. Or sometimes I tear them putting them on. So these are very thick. They have like a grip to them, so when they get wet, you can still grab onto things. And they're a good thick mill, so I'm pretty excited to get those.
Right, and you don't want to skimp when it comes to something that you're going to have protecting your hands when you're dealing with the black tank hoses.
Right, and it's amazing what you get excited about when you're full-time RVing. Whoever thought I'd be excited about gloves to change out the dump tank? Right. That's my life.
Another thing that we are going to be investing in are snap pads.
Yes, I'm excited to get these. Talk to RVers that have them. Watched a lot of full-time RVers on YouTube and Facebook, and just people can't say enough good things about this product. Unfortunately, we have the octagon style, so I've been having trouble finding the ones that are our size. But as soon as I find them, we're gonna snap them up. I'm probably gonna end up reaching out to SnapPad directly and see what we can find out on those.
Another thing that we want to invest in is a convection oven and or a hot plate, so that we are not using propane when we're cooking.
Yeah, as we were going through when we bought our coach, that was one item that we weren't sure we really would need. We kind of wanted it, but we just got a regular microwave with our coach, and we're kind of wishing it would have came with a convection microwave.
Right. And if you have a convection oven or a different way of cooking, please comment below so that we can get some ideas from you. We would really appreciate that.
Because I love to eat. I know it's hard to tell, but it's a svelte figure.
And our last thing that we want to look into is a good emergency roadside kit.
Yes, something that's just, if we break down, has triangles in it so we can mark out. I used to drive a truck. I know how important those triangles are. You set them back behind your rig, and that way when drivers are coming up, especially at night, they can see them. But they have jumper cables in them, road flares, anything you think of. And also important to maintain once you get it, and just go through it probably at least twice a year, just to kind of do an inventory in it. But that's going to be a must-have for us.
Okay, so that's what we have so far. Why don't you share with us some of the things did we miss anything?
Right.
Let us know. We might not have thought of those things, and we are getting ready with the preparations of going full-time.
It's coming up quick. We're about 3 months out from totally full-time living.
Yes, it's coming up quick. So share with us your knowledge, and let us know if you have any questions, and see the links below for all the products we were talking about today.
Thank you.